to Brock Hoffman so that these guys can go out there and continue to execute and do their assignments. They have a number one job in protecting number 4. And as long as he continues to coach these guys up, while they get the reps on the field, he gives them the reps mentally, and then collectively they can go out there and put together a good product.
Coming out of Notre Dame, number 1 pick, 16th pick in that draft.
In the draft, yeah,
number 1. What I want to say is the guy came in a professional. What these two gentlemen have said is truly right about Zack Martin. There's nothing more I can add or nothing more I can take away. Hey, blessings to you, Zack Martin. Get yourself healthy.
No doubt about it. And we have the bitter to start the show. We've got some sweet with Zack Martin later on and the bittersweet week that he had as a part of this Cowboys organization. Let's hear from him talking about going through that adversity and battling through it early in the season and part of the reason why he shut it down this week.
It's something I've been dealing with all year, back to training camp and really over the last few years. But, the last couple of weeks, we kind of took those 2 weeks and tried to heal up and, did some different treatments and stuff like that. And then, Monday did some workouts on the field and, I just didn't respond very well. And we kind of had a heart-to-heart conversation and, decided that it was smart to get this thing fixed and get healthy. And
what are your thoughts about playing beyond this season?
Yeah, I mean, again, like this is not the time to have those discussions, and this is kind of all I'll say about that. It's a tough situation, and the most important thing on my mind is getting healthy and then having those conversations down the road. But the first thing, first and foremost, I want to get healthy, and then maybe those conversations are a little bit easier.
The Cowboys enter the week at 5-7, and of course, playoff hopes are slim, just as we talked about a couple moments prior, but they're not impossible. They are there, and even if you lose 1, maybe 2 more games throughout the rest of this season, you still have a road and a path through the playoffs inside the NFC. So there's a chance here that the Cowboys can continue their run. They've got a chance to stretch their win streak to 3 tonight against the Cincinnati Bengals. Isaiah, I'll start with you on this one. How important is keeping that momentum alive tonight?
It's absolutely everything. At this point in time in your season, with the record that you have, you can't afford any losses.
Yeah.
You can't even think, okay, we have a slim margin. If we lose, we still have a shot. There's none of that. Your mindset has to be go out there, win every play, win every quarter, win every game. And if you do that, then you position yourselves for opportunity based upon conditions that are out of your control. What is in your control is the Cincinnati Bengals are in your house tonight. Take care of business.
What have happened over the last few weeks, fellas, is these guys have taken care of business in practice. They've done what they had to do. And last week, CeeDee Lamb did not play well. But Rico Dowdle stepped up his game. The offensive line came in bits and pieces and stepped up their game. Our defense has been consistent for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So if they can keep that type of momentum of improving every week, anything can happen.
Yeah, and during this win streak, to me the Dallas Cowboys have done 2 things. One, they got rid of that game plan with Houston, all right? And that was just not the game plan they needed to do. Throwing the football 55 times does not, get the most out of Cooper Rush out there. So they made a more balanced approach, featuring Rico Dowdle out there, and they played complementary football as well. Each phase of this team has had an input on how they win these games. You talk about a couple weeks ago with Turpin and the special teams being able to put their feel on the game. You talk about the defense being able to get after the pass rusher or the quarterback out there, and then offensively having that balance out there, making sure your defense can stay off of the sideline so they come in fresh and ready to go. Those are the 2 things that they've been able to do in this win streak they've had, and they've got to keep it up tonight because the main way to beat the Cincinnati Bengals is to make sure Joe Burrow is on the sidelines.
Yeah, you got to find a way to get after him. We'll talk more about that as we continue on tonight. Speaking about that win streak, though, when the Cowboys were at 3-7, it would have been very easy for this locker room to mail it in and say, hey, we're done with this season. It's not going to work out for us. Really banged up, lots of injuries starting to stack up. That's not the case. They've rattled off 2 straight. They see this opportunity at hand. Cincinnati tonight at 4-8. They've got the Carolina Panthers next week on the road in a noon kickoff. There's a lot of things that can start turning things around, and then snap of a fingers, you're back at 500 with a couple games left to play. Yep. So a lot of that credit deserves to go to Mike McCarthy and the coaching staff. You guys have all been in a locker room. Nate, I'll start with you. How important is it to rally around your coaching staff in a season like this when it seemingly things hadn't gone your way but are starting to turn around?
At the beginning of the season, we talked about Coach 1 year left on his contract. He stayed focused. He knew what he had to do. We lost the game maybe 4 or 5 games ago, and he said, you know what, that's where we'll be in a couple of weeks. We're not there yet because he saw improvement week in and week out. Guys are getting better. Now they're coming together as a unit. They're understanding how each of these pieces fit. Mike, you know how I feel about you, baby. Keep rocking.
Yeah, Mike's been doing a heck of a job with getting the most out of each and every one of these players. Like you said, Cal, everybody could have mailed it in. Dak's out. We got all these injuries on the defensive side of the football field, but that didn't matter to this team. This team wanted to fight for their coach and keep the ball rolling as far as momentum going. You talk about a guy like CeeDee Lamb. This is a guy who could have mailed it in. He got his bag out there. Dak's out. He's not going to be able to get the football as much. But no, what did he do? He stepped his game up and brought everybody else along with him when you talk about the secondary pieces on the offensive side of the football. And the same with defensively. You saw Micah Parsons come back, make that immediate impact, and they're fighting for their coach out there, and that's exactly what you want to see from a team that's trying to fight their way back into the playoff picture.
You know, Barry, you know what's wrong with this world in 2024? Everybody likes to swipe left, swipe right. Everybody wants to swipe on to the next thing. You know what I'm saying? The next best thing. Everybody wants to go on to the next best coach. Right. Let me help everybody understand. Mike McCarthy is the most winningest coach for the Dallas Cowboys since Barry Switzer in the 90s.
Yeah? Long time.
I want to run that back. He has the greatest winning percentage of all coaches the Dallas Cowboys have had since Barry Switzer. People need to put some respect on Mike McCarthy and what he's done. Listen to what all the professionals have been saying about Mike McCarthy. Listen to what the locker room is saying about Mike McCarthy. He is taking care of business, and these guys have bought into him. You heard the comments from Dak. You heard the comments from Micah Parsons. There's a reason why he's in this place. There's a reason why he has a ring. They need to continue to follow his lead.
Yeah, and of course the playoff success hasn't been there, so that's added to the frustration. Yeah. But for the most part, the winning in the regular season has been there, except for 2020, where it was a COVID pandemic. You lost your quarterback in Week 5, and then you move on to 2024. You lose your quarterback early, and things just aren't necessarily right this season. But Dak Prescott believes that he should get an extension. That was his comment earlier this week. With that being said, Mike McCarthy has heard that. He's heard the support from the locker room. Here's what he had to say at the podium this week.
Definitely. I mean, I think it's like any job in this one specifically. I mean, I had clear understanding of the responsibilities. This is the most input I've ever been a part of as a head coach in personnel. So, particularly in the draft, we spend a tremendous amount of time as a coaching staff, during the draft, draft selection and preparation process. So, and it's different. I'm just trying to give you an answer, trying to compare it to my past, but yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what he meant by it, but yeah, I think it's just like anything. We're in year 5 of our program. I think we have a lot of excellent things in place. I think we have some things that we can do better, and I think it's all part of growing, and that's no different than the way I felt in year 5 and 6 in my last opportunity.
The challenge this week for Mike McCarthy is getting this team ready to go after 12 days off. You go from Thanksgiving all the way up into Monday Night Football, from that win against the Giants and now to the Bengals on Monday Night Football. Those 12 days, tough to get a team regalvanized and ready to go. With more on that, we go down on the sideline and check in with our very own Nick Eatman. Nick, welcome back. It feels like it's been a minute since we've had some football to talk about. What's the feeling around this team after a little extra rest, but a chance to ramp it back up in prime time?
Well, I think the feeling is like what you guys were just talking about. There's a chance. There's still a chance. The window is open, just like the roof here at AT&T Stadium, and you have a shot to go and do something. I think this is the fork in the road of the season here in 2024. I mean, you're going left, you're going right. I heard Isaiah saying about swiping and stuff like that, but honestly, this is where this team is. Are you going to compete? Are you going to be a team that can be in the mix and stay in the hunt? Well, then go beat a 4-8 football team, and that's what they are. I mean, the Bengals are 4-8. Yes, it's the best quarterback and receiver that you're going to face all year long, but they're 4-8 for a reason. You got to figure out a way to exploit that.
You mentioned the challenge with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, a couple of those guys on that offensive side. They're not the only weapons that Cincinnati has at their disposal. How are the Cowboys going to combat that now with Trayvon Diggs back in the fold? How much of a boost is that for this Cowboys defense, having all 3 starters at cornerback back today?
It's week 2 of the season last year. It's the last time that Bland and Diggs played on the field at the same time. So that, yeah, I mean, I keep joking. This isn't tag team wrestling. You don't have to tag in and out. Like, it can be out there together. So and it's certainly needed for this game right here. And so I think it gives them a boost. And it's sort of what you guys were talking about too. Yeah, this is a tough part in the season, but you're not giving up. These guys that got big contracts, their job is to go play football. They're coming back. Diggs is back healthy again. Jordan Lewis as well with Bland. So you got the three of them there. So, yeah, I think this is the great test. Not only those three guys, but then you throw at Micah Parsons and Overshown. That group has never played together, obviously, and it'll be fun to see them go at Burrow and the Bengals offense.
Well, and this Cowboys defense has started to look more like the Cowboys defenses of the last couple of years, at least over the last month of the season. Now, flipping to the offensive side of the ball, we just talked about Zack Martin out for the season. Brock Hoffman is expected to fill in for him at that right guard spot. He's done a great job up until this point. What do you expect to see out of him as he now has a full-time role on this offensive line for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, I've always joked about Brock Hoffman. He could be one of those guys outside the club with the black T-shirt that just says staff on the back. Just a bouncer. That's the way he plays. That's the way he plays football. And there's no mistake here. This is a game you're going to see a lot of different cleats out there with a great initiative. The My Cause, My Cleats. He has his cleats. He has the Derek James Foundation. Who's Derek James? Well, he's a local trainer for boxing. He loves boxing, which. Who's surprised by that? And Brock Hoffman, it's a foundation that gives back to kids in this area, this local DFW area. But that's the way he plays. He plays with a fighter's mentality, and I think that's how he attacks it. And don't look now, but the 4 games that he has started, the Cowboys offense has run the ball better than they have in any other game. So we'll see if that trend continues.
No doubt about it. Nick Eatman, thanks so much joining us on the sideline down there inside AT&T Stadium. We'll check back in with you in a couple of moments with Stephen Jones coming up very, very shortly. Now, guys, this Cowboys offense has started to play better as the weeks have gone on, and you're starting to see the way that they're pushing in the right direction with Cooper Rush and company. Is this enough in that offensive line, as banged up as they are, to start putting some strings of games together? We've seen a couple already.
Yeah, when you look at this offense overall, yes, they struggled in the initial takeover for Cooper Rush when you look at that Houston game. But what I talked about earlier is how they switched up that game plan. They realized that with Cooper Rush, you can't go out there and just throw the ball 55 times. You got to make a game plan in order to highlight his strengths and what he does best out there. And to me, when you come out there with a balanced attack and when you go out there and you let him use play action, that's when you get the strength of a Cooper Rush out there. He's able to get the defense to come up on that play action. He's able to find the CeeDee Lambs of the world, the Brookses on the deep route, the Tolberts as well. So that's exactly what they've been able to do to highlight his strengths out there. And it doesn't hurt that when your secondary pieces outside of CeeDee Lamb have been able to step up as well.
Run the ball. Run the ball. I know I run behind the big fellas like Big Nate Newton, and I know we'll get to Rico later, but you guys have to have a balanced running attack. You got to be able to hand the ball off and trust the fact that you're going to be able to get yourself in good down and distance situations. If you feel like you're going to go into a game and just throw the ball and find yourself in a third and long situation and think that Cooper Rush is going to throw his way into a victory, that's not setting him up for success, nor this team for success. You have to give him good, manageable down and distance plays, especially when you recognize that his velocity isn't what it once was. He's not pushing the ball down the field, or he's not capable of pushing the ball down the field like he once was. So now that's even more enhancing the fact that you have to be able to keep him in mid to short range distances so that he can get some good completions.
Offensive line has to play well so they can continue to be that balanced offensive line. These guys in the middle are solid, with the left tackle and left guard and Smith, Cooper, and now the young man
Brock Hoffman.
They're solid, they're gritty, they're mean. Not the greatest athletes in the world, but they can do all they need to do. Run Rico Dowdle inside out, control the clock, and you'll have a better chance to do everything you need to do.
And don't look now, but of course we entered the season where Cooper Rush was 5-1 as a starter. He's now 2-2, a chance to go to 3-2 this season. He's 7-3 as a starter in his first 10 career starts in the NFL. That's 4th best among all NFL quarterback win percentage-wise
70%.
since 2021. So he's done his job in terms of settling the ship and slowing down this Cowboys offense in a good way. Settling it down is the best way to say it, Isaiah. As a quarterback, how important has his play been for this Cowboys offense over the last 2 weeks?
It's been good because he's not forcing anything as of late. Sure. But I think that they have higher hopes for what he's capable of producing offensively. I think that they want to see him be more aggressive. I think one thing that I have seen out of Cooper Rush that's been different this year is that he's not anticipating his throws. So he's not able to get the ball in this situation for guys to get yak yardage, yards after catch. What you saw in previous times when he had to step in for Dak Prescott was he got the ball out on time. And by getting the ball out on time, guys were able to catch the ball out of their break, boom, turn and go, make a guy miss and go make a big play. Now he's kind of relying on his arm to get the ball there, and it's just not there. So I'm hoping that he can get back to that. Whatever is required to do that, they need to do it.
Yeah, I think what's required to do that is something that you touched on a little bit ago, and that's making sure these down and distances are manageable. So he can go out there and he can basically go out there and play his best football when it matters most. I would love to see more explosive plays, taking the top off of the defense with CeeDee Lamb or letting them catch a slant and taking it 50 yards. I would love to do that. But the most important thing that Cooper Rush needs to do for this team is to not turn over the football. Yep. And during this winning streak, he has done a great job of taking care of the football, because if they turn it over, they don't have enough offensively, defensively, or in the kicking game to overcome those type of turnovers. So continue to take care of the football, and he'll be just fine out there.
Your tight end's been doing a great job, and now we'll get Jason Ferguson back into this game. So you'll have 3 good tight ends doing what you need to do. So control those chains through your tight end and your running game.
And they won the first 2 games with, of course, the rockiness against the Eagles and the Texans, and then you've got these stats the last 2 weeks and the way that Cooper's kind of turned it around.
And the thing is, you want a boring offense right now. With Cooper Rush at the quarterback position, you want
perfect.
a boring offense. You want to run the
personnel.
Absolutely, 12 personnel, run the ball, go 3 downs, get the first down, stay on the field for 12, 14 plays, and end it with some points. I know you want to end it with 7, but even if you get 3, end it with some points without a turnover. That's the type of game you want. And what Barry's talking about is you don't want to get behind. If you find yourself behind and you're down by 2 possessions, now all of a sudden you're asking Cooper Rush to drop back and throw the ball down the field. He can't do that right now. Yeah. He can't do that. Brandon Cooks just got back. They're going to double-team CeeDee Lamb. You're getting Jay Ferguson back. That's awesome. But you don't want to put your backup quarterback in a position to throw himself into a victory.
Yep. You cannot allow him to do what he did against Houston.
Barry
brought it up earlier. He said, don't throw it 55 times. Let's run the ball. 25 carries or more. Let's let him have some balance, some play action ability. All those things can work in his favor, especially against a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, where time of possession is going to be huge in this game tonight. Here's what he said earlier in the week about keeping that momentum rolling in the right direction on offense.
You like to think that, through practice and through your mental reps, you can go out there and function. And but there is an element of getting back into the rhythm, being a starter, and throughout the week, and feeling more comfortable. And I think as an offense, we're feeling more comfortable. We're doing things well, and we're executing.
Can you be more vocal as you've been getting more starts this year?
I wouldn't say I've changed anything like that. When you run the twos, and you're vocal with them, and when you're in there with the ones, a lot of those guys were twos with me, and so there's a comfort factor. Been around them for a long time.
So Cooper Rush leading this offense against a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, who worked their way out onto the field at AT&T Stadium now, who has the best offense that you've seen in the last couple of weeks. Maybe not the best overall offense, but probably the best quarterback-wide receiver pairing that the Cowboys have seen at any point this season. Let's start with the defense, because as good as their offense has been, their defense has not been very good. Let's talk about some of these ranks. 31st in points per game allowed. They're 28th in third down percentage, 27th in yards per game allowed, and they're 29th in sacks, despite having Trey Hendrickson, who leads the NFL in sacks. So really it's 91 and nobody else on that side of the ball. So with all of that being said, how much is there to blame on the defensive side of the ball for Cincinnati's 4-8 start?
No, it's a lot to blame. I mean, you've seen throughout this entire season where...
Hold off on him, Barry. Chill out a little bit, okay?
We've seen through this entire season where Joe Burrow will go out there, throw 4 touchdowns, throw 3 touchdowns, in the drive in the fourth quarter with this team in the lead, only to see his defense go out there and give up the lead, give up a touchdown, cause them to lose the game. So their defense has been downright terrible. You went through their rankings earlier today, and then that's, to me, why this, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but why this game has got to be a grinded out, win by time of possession, because you've got to keep number 9 off of the football field. That's the only way, in my opinion, that Cincinnati's able to win this game if they make it into a shootout. That's why offensively for the Dallas Cowboys, this has to be a balanced, grinded out attack against this defense, who you just mentioned doesn't really get after the passer that well, ranked 29th in the National Football League in sacks, so they've got to grind it out, have a great balanced attack, but you got to keep number 9 off the football field because his offense is explosive.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Barry, but if you can find a way to get up early and get some points on these guys and frustrate the offense, because we've seen the post-game interview with Jamar Chase where he wanted to say something bad about his defense. I feel like they're this close. They're so close to imploding, and you want to be that team that pops the bubble. So go ahead and go out there and score some points and show why these guys are at the bottom of the league in terms of defense, 31st overall in passing. You go ahead and throw it up on them a little bit more.
I remember when I first played for the Cowboys, and our offense was terrible. And I went and snuck in the meeting and heard Coach Johnson say, defense. We got to win it with defense. Our offense is terrible. I am not surprised if they coach over there saying the same thing. Man, we got to win this on offense. Our defense is terrible. Look at here, man. Get up on these cats. Yep. Like you say, frustrate them. And you know what? If we can hit Joe Burrow a couple of times, he'll get frustrated. So, hey, run over their defense. Take care of Joe Burrow.
Well, and they've lost the last 3 games. They've lost 4 of their last 5. The defense has been a really big part of this losing streak for the Cincinnati Bengals. Here are their numbers. 37.7 points per game. Normally we don't say decibels on this show, but I think whenever you're up above and close to 38 points per game, that is going to be a big-time woe for your defense. You're not going to win a whole lot of football games in that direction. I mean, they're 4-1 against teams under 500, but they're 0-7 against teams above 500. They're facing the Cowboys today, who are under 500 at that 5-7 mark. Let's talk about Trey Hendrickson and what he does well. He leads the NFL with 11.5 sacks so far this year. He's tied for the most quarterback hits with 25. Barry, he's an elite pass rusher. How do the Cowboys combat him today?
We just got to make sure you understand where he is at all times. All right, you can't let this guy just go out and feast on one-on-ones the entire time. Yeah. I understand our tackles are going to have to handle their own weight eventually, but this is a guy who has extremely high motor out there. He understands how to get after the passer, and he plays the run extremely well. So this is a guy, like I said earlier, you just got to know where he is at all times. Throw a little chicken wing if you're a tight end, Adam, as you're going out into your right. Rico Dowdle, go ahead and give him a little chicken wing as well on your way out. But make sure he does not wreck this game plan, because to me, he's the only guy on that defensive line that can affect your offense in a bad way. So you just got to know where number 91 is.
He's a complete beast. He's an absolute dog. And I know we talk about his sack numbers a lot of times. That's the highlight, right? He's leading the league in sacks. And, yeah, he's doing that for sure, 11.5 sacks. But that's not the most polarizing stat line to me. The most polarizing stat line to me is his QB pressures. As what Barry and I were talking about at pregame, listen up. When you have 63 pressures on the quarterback, 11.5 sacks, but 63 pressures, that means you're about a half second away from having 63 more sacks. That's exactly what that means.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty doggone good.
Yeah.
This dude is a complete problem. To Barry's point, find a way to chip it, make him run through a whole doggone obstacle course before getting back there to Cooper Rush, because if he gets back there, he's going to disturb the peace, and I'm not talking about Ludacris.
When you're playing against a guy like this as offensive lineman, what the coach going to tell you is through the whistle. You're going to always take a step through the whistle when you're dealing with this guy, because he never stops. Like these guys, they're giving you the stats. They tell you he's a beast, he's a motor. But you know what? You have to be a motor. When he's on you and you lock up with him, you have to go through the whistle. If you don't hear a whistle, you make him look at you crazy with your hands in his chest. So play hard, play smart, and go through the whistle.
Nate, when you face a guy like that, what was your mentality?
I want to maul him. I'm serious. If we could run just enough where I can get my hands on him and lay all that blubber on him, I was going to hurt him. You know what I'm saying? But he was quick, so we couldn't get behind. What Coach Turner tried to do is balance it, not let him get his pass rush going. Because if he get a sack early, he's liable to get a sack late. So we tried to keep him neutralized with tight ends, with running backs. But more importantly, I wanted to just lay on him.
Yeah.
I wanted to love him.
That's why we called him Big Nate. That's why we still call him Big Nate to this day. Now, here's the thing. When Big Nate took the microphone, we were talking to the crowd a little bit out here earlier. There's a lot of Cincinnati fans, a lot more Dallas Cowboys fans out here. The one thing we heard from the Cincinnati fans is one thing. We love Joe.
Yeah.
That was what they started to say, and Joe Burrow has been phenomenal this year for Cincinnati. There's credit where credit is due. He leads the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns, over 3,300 passing yards. He's got 30 passing touchdowns. He's going to get his. So will Jamar Chase. We'll talk about him in a moment. But where does he rank in terms of the active quarterbacks in the NFL compared to how the Cowboys have faced so far this year?
He may be the best quarterback that the Cowboys have played the entire season.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, and I kind of feel bad for him, not a lot, but a little bit, because the Cincinnati Bengals are really wasting an MVP season from Joe Burrow out there. What he's able to do with this offense, if they were able to just protect him just a little bit, I mean, this guy's numbers would be skyrocketing. But what he does great, all right, is he's able to put the ball in all different types of angles and situations. He's able to get the ball, like we talked about earlier, to those wide receivers where they can have yak. And he has two of the best wide receivers when you talk about yards after the catch. Jamar Chase, what he's able to do with a slant, taking 55 yards, and you also got T. Higgins on the outside where you can throw up that 50-50 ball. But this guy, he makes defenses worry back there, because as a safety, you're reading those eyes. Where is he going to go with the football? And he never tips exactly where he's going to throw it. He has those kind of look-off throws and looks off the safeties. He's an extreme talent at the quarterback position, and the Cowboys have their hands full tonight.
His name is Joe Burrow, and it's Joe Burrow because that boy has ice in his veins. Listen up, that you can't take it away from him. If they had a winning, I give him respect. If they had a winning season, this dude would be the leading candidate for MVP, like Barry said. Yeah. It is what it is. You are facing a complete dog at the quarterback position. Hashtag unbothered. This dude is unbothered by pressure. He's been hit almost as much as any quarterback in the league. He does not care. He's going to get back up, dust himself off, and try to find his weapons down the field. You have to get him down and get him down often. Don't allow for him to get comfortable. Make him start seeing things, because you got some dogs up front that can get after him.
I want you to take a look at a number here as we take a look at the offensive numbers for the Bengals as a whole. The number in terms of points per game so far this season, there's Joe Burrow's big here, but the number of points that he's put up throughout the season on this Bengals offense, it's only the third time, or it's the third most points per game in a season from a team in their losses. Only the 1983 Raiders and the 2018 Chiefs have averaged more points per game in their losses as a team. Both of those teams were 12-4. The Chiefs, MVP, it was Patrick Mahomes that year. In 2018, he won the MVP. 1983, what did the Raiders do? They won the Super Bowl. This is a weird occurrence when it comes to a player playing at this high of a level, yet they haven't had the wins to translate, Nate. And it's kind of mind-boggling whenever you look at the two compared.
He's opportunist. That's all he is. He was at Ohio State throwing the pros. He left Ohio State with LSU. Now he's throwing the pros.
Throwing the pros again.
And now he's with the Bengals throwing to great pros. Wide receiver Higgins. This guy Chase coming out of the backfield with Brown. This guy is awesome. Y'all know he's my number one quarterback. Y'all know that's my man. But you know what, Dak? I'm going to ride with you. I don't want no problems. I want to be able to come in the locker room. Don't do that.
I hate to break it to you, Nate, but Dak is not playing tonight.
I know he's not, but I gotta keep stroking him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I gotta keep stroking. I gotta keep petting him a little bit.
What about the corners that are going to try and combat Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase tonight? We talked with Nick Eatman earlier. Trayvon Diggs is back. That should be something that Cowboys fans should cheer about behind us. The fact that they have their all-pro corner back in the fold is huge. Barry, as the former defender on set, how big is it to have your three starting corners against a team and a weaponry like the Cincinnati team?
Look, with these three guys that they're playing, you're talking about Diggs, Lewis, and Bland, I could go back there and play safety for the Dallas Cowboys. It makes it that much easier for you, because when you look at it, offenses aren't going to be able to just look on one side and say, oh, Diggs is over here, let me go pick on that other side, or Bland's on that side, let me go pick on the other side. You got two bona fide shutdown corners on the outside, as well as a great nickel in Jordan Lewis, and I believe it won't only help the secondary. It'll help that defensive line as well, because when you look at it, the quarterback may have to hold the football for an extra tick, an extra second, and that's going to give Parsons, Carl Lawson, Odighi Sua, those guys just an extra opportunity to get after the quarterback. And they may not bring him down with the sack, but hurries and everything will throw off that time in between Burrow and his two wide receivers on the outside. So having those two lockdown cornerbacks back to the fold since week 2 last year, it's going to be huge for this defense overall.
We saw a glimpse of what can happen when they're both on the field, and we talk about that week 2 game when man. Last time I remember, I think there was a hit and there was an interception and a pick six.
Something
like that happened. Yep. Yeah, something like that happened when you have both of those guys on the outside. Those guys are really good players together, and they have an amazing coach that is conducting them, right? And Al Harris, he is doing a good job with the entire unit. But to your point, Barry, they're going to make things very difficult on these guys at the receiver position. My hope, and it is an extreme hope. It's Christmas time. I hope I can receive this.
Hopium.
My hope is that Coach Zimmer goes and allows these guys to play man-to-man. Do not subject these amazing all-pro, not Pro Bowl, all-pro corners to zone coverage. Allow these guys to go out there and die on their own sword and go out there and cover these guys at the line of scrimmage, put hands on them, bless them, as my boy Nate would say, and make it hard for these guys to get open.
You're a double-A gap man. Use it tonight. Take advantage of it, man. Put those corners out like my man said. Put them on one-on-one. Let them press up in there. Get them guys a chance to get to Joe Burrow because that's our only chance is keeping heat on him.
Well, let's take a look at the rest of the inactive list. And, of course, the names that are not on there are just as noteworthy. You have the combination of Deron Bland, Trayvon Diggs back in the fold. In order to do that, you've got to have a couple guys out as well. You see Jalen Brooks as a wide receiver out this week. That's the first time he's been on that list this year. Damone Clark, who's played some significant snaps through the linebacking core so far this season as well. He's been in and out of the fold too. They did activate Amani Owawarriye off of the return list. Okay. So he's off of IR. He can play tonight, and it appears he's active as well. So a couple of notes to keep in mind there. Another name not on that list is Tyler Guyton and Jake Ferguson. So the offense gets two guys back as starters that are big. I'll start with your guy, Jake Ferguson. Nate Newton, he's back in the fold. How big is that for this Cowboys offense?
That is big to me because he's a blocker. He's the best blocking tight end at this point. He can run routes. He can run that seam route. That Barry boy, Schoonmaker runs so well. Yes, sir. I mean, but like, seriously, 3 tight ends, span forward, 2 good blockers, 3 good pass catching tight ends. This should be a good day for them.
And where does he make the biggest impact, Isaiah, on this offense?
I think just confidence in the entire unit. Yeah. I think, to Nate's point, he does a good job up front blocking. So when you have that attached man, he's an extension of the offensive line. You like to have that assurance at the tackle position that the man next to you can handle his assignment in the blocking game. And then he does a great job, obviously, of just routing up safeties. Yep. Safeties and linebackers, you want to come out there and try to man him up, or he does a good job of finding the zones. But to Nate's point also, not only is it just Jake Ferguson, but now you have found out that you have 2 other viable resources there in Brevin Spann-Ford and Luke Schoonmaker. Both of those guys have shown up for you in a major way in the absence of Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, when you look at this whole tight end room, I mean, you got to give credit to Lunda Wells out there because he's done an amazing job with these 3 guys. Spann-Ford, Ferguson, Schoonmaker. But what Ferguson brings to the table, just like my big man Nate said, his blocking ability is unbelievable. He's one of the best blockers on this football team. The way he's able to stress the seams up and be able to win them one-on-one matchups, like you said. You put a safety on him, he's able to route him up. You put a linebacker on him, he has too much speed for him. So he's a mismatch nightmare. And myself, I used to hate going against tight ends like that. They have that big body but can also run away from you. That's what he brings to the table. He's very quarterback friendly as well.
Let's talk about Luke Schoonmaker a little bit here, because without Jake Ferguson in the fold for really the majority of these last 3 weeks, it's been impressive to see Luke Schoonmaker step up into a big role. As a former second-round pick, they've wanted to see more out of Schoonmaker and what he brings to the table. Has he changed your outlook on his career in Dallas with the play that he's shown over the last 3 weeks?
No, he changed my outlook because, to be honest with you, I thought he was on bust watch there for a second. I mean, the way he wasn't able to even crack the lineup or get on the football field, but as soon as Ferguson went down, he was able to step up and that confidence grown. And sometimes that's all you really need as a young player is to go out there and get your confidence, understand that you know that you belong in this league and you can go out there and make plays in this league. And that's exactly what that's exactly what Schoonmaker has been able to do these past 2 weeks. He's been able to step up and gain confidence in his game and really take advantage of the opportunities he's been given.
Barry, I'm not going to let you leave tonight without you admitting the fact that you said that big tight ends ran away from you. Is that what I heard you say?
No, you ain't heard.
Did you hear that?
I heard.
Yeah, you heard?
No. I say run away from me.
I used to hate them big tight ends running away from me.
Hey, well, Luke Schoonmaker has made a believer out of me as well. I had question marks revolving around his ability and his will, right? And that's something that you never want to question in a football player, is you don't want to question their will, right, to go out there and fight and grind it out. And I did have questions, Nate, but he has stepped up. He has stepped up. He took advantage of the opportunity, and that's what you hope for whenever you draft somebody in the second round and you have a Jake Ferguson go down. You need the next man up, and he definitely did that. He became a viable option and somebody who was trusted by this organization.
He's a nice pass rusher. Nice pass catcher.
Pass catcher.
That's all you'll get my boy Schoonmaker.
Well, you look at the numbers, 14 catches, 134 yards, and a touchdown in the last 3 weeks. That's more than he's had at any other stretch throughout his entire career. So it is a big step up, and the Cowboys have needed him to step into that role without Jake Ferguson back from his concussion this week. With more on guys stepping up, how about this offensive line? Brock Hoffman stepping in for Zack Martin has been tremendous. With more on that, we go to Nicole Hutchison. What's up, Nicole?
Yeah, Kyle. When you talk about guys that have stepped up, you have to talk about Brock Hoffman, and he's really had Mike McCarthy sing his high praises about him. You look at the numbers. In 183 offensive snaps, he's only allowed one pressure. The numbers don't lie. Neither does the film either. He brings this nastiness to the offensive line that's so infectious, and I caught up with him about where it all comes from, and he said it goes far beyond 2024.
I feel like for me, I grew up a coach's son. My dad played in the 80s, coached in the 90s, early 2000s, so the game's changed a little bit, but he always told me if you're going to play the game, you got to play it nasty, and that's kind of what I've always tried to do my whole career. And, as you get older, you kind of get more and more confident. Obviously, as you step on the field in the NFL, as you get more reps, you get more confident. I feel like really that's my football personality, and it starts to show.
Your journey's been kind of interesting because you've been, what I'd like to say is kept in the shadows a little bit. Having to battle with time between Tyler Biadasz and then training camp battling with Cooper Beebe and now getting more opportunities. But what's kept you motivated?
Man, my parents have always told me that, you're always going to face adversity in life. And no matter what happens, just know you're going to come out on the other end a better person and on the field a better player.
And you have a guy like Zack Martin, too,
100%.
that's been, I'm pretty sure, helpful as well. What's the message for him to you about just making the most of your opportunities?
Yeah, no, Zach's obviously been, a hell of a player, and he's helped me so much since I've been here. And just, he's just a guy you follow, right? He does everything right on and off the field, and you can ask him questions, but really you just got to watch and learn, and he's really helped me a lot. And I guess the message he said to me was before the Giants game, make it chippy early. I'm like, all right, third play, we're making it chippy.
I'm crying.
Yeah.
Now, how do you guys build off of what you guys have been able to put together the last couple of weeks going up against the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, I think for us, one, it's about just keep building on what we've done in terms of physicality and finish effort, and then from there it's just cleaning up the little details in terms of technique, because that, really at the end of the day, that's what matters. But I think when you implement your technique and you bring that edge and that nastiness and that, little things like pushing the pile or just giving a dude a nudge at the end of the play, I think that stuff really does help the run game as it goes. Like, you're not always going to pop the first run for 40, right? But when it's in the fourth quarter and they're just literally annoyed of you, I think that's where you can take big jumps and you can, gain big yards on the ground.
Kyle, I also asked Brock Hoffman about, how much does getting in guys' heads and visibly seeing them frustrated help fuel you on the field? He said, man, I thrive off of it. So expect to see a lot more of that today here against the Bengals. Guys, back to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Nicole. I love hearing about that. We talked about him earlier in the show. He's such a class eater, gritty. You love the impact with the My Cause, My Cleats. There are so many different elements that he brings to the table on that offensive line, and this is his shot. This is his opportunity to audition for post-Zack Martin era of this Cowboys offensive line, is to have an opportunity to play significant significant snaps from here on out in 2024.
And I don't want the narrative just to be that he's a brawler and he's taking care of his assignments. That's right. He's taking care of his assignments. He's going out there. He's being effective. He's helping out in the running game. He's making sure that Cooper Rush is not laying on his back. So yeah, he's a brawler and he has that mentality. He's gritty, but the man is taking care of his assignments too. It's not the only reason why he's out there playing.
Back alongside Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We are Cowboys pregame live out here on the AT&T East Plaza. We've got plenty of fans still sticking around, having some fun out here. The gates are open, so a lot of people moving into AT&T Stadium for some Monday Night Football, but we appreciate everybody sticking around with us out here and all of you watching online as well. So, with all this being said, we've talked about Joe Burrow. We've talked about that Cincinnati defense. We haven't talked a whole lot about Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase, he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL is what he is, going up against another one of the top receivers in the NFL, and C.D. Lamb. Guys, when you battle another top player at your position like C.D. and Ja'Marr are having the opportunity to do tonight in prime time, does it ramp things up for you from a position group standpoint?
1,000%. I mean, when you're going out there, like when I went out there and we had to go against the Seattles of the world, I knew I wasn't playing on the field against these two guys, but I wanted to outplay Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor. I wanted to go out there and make sure I had more tackles, make sure I had a bigger impact on the game. That's the same thing I believe C.D. Lamb's going to go into with this game, because it's universally known. Him and Chase are one of the top 3 receivers in the National Football League. So when you go out there, you want to outperform that other position, because I know that's exactly what I wanted to do when I was on the football field as well.
If you have any competitive bone in your body, this is exactly what you're looking for. This is your opportunity to go out there and show up the man on the other side. Yes, you can't impact him. No, you can't do anything about that. But you can make sure that you have a better stat line and make sure that the ultimate stat line, the W, is what it shows at the end of the game, because he's going to get paid. He's going to get paid more than you. Even though he'll be able to say that, you can always say, I have more stats than you. That's facts.
Yeah, I tell you what, Micah Irvin and Kevin Martin used to come in on Wednesdays and Thursdays. The first thing to do is look at the play sheet to see how many balls they're going to get when they playing against another well-rounded wide receiver. So, believe me, CD going to come up, show out, do his thing, man.
Well, what's important to get him involved early and often in this Cowboys offense tonight?
I just think you throw something to him quick. I don't like the other sweep thing. I like to throw him a quick slant, something like that, a quick out or something, a double move, what do you call it, sluggo. You know what I'm saying? Get him outside. Yeah, I want him to get early and often, get him involved. Don't let him sit over there and watch this other kid, because they're going to throw to Chase. Oh yeah, they're going to throw to him. So don't let him see that.
How many fly sweeps is CD going to get tonight?
None, I hope. None. I want him to be going straight downfield.
It's at least going to be 2.
At least 2.
He's going to get at least 2.
That's your boy number 9. Give him to him.
Let Turpin find a hole, right?
Got it. No doubt about it. But when you go out there, these two guys, like you just said, Nate, to get C.D. Lamb going early and often in this football game, you got to feed him early. You can't, that fly sweep stuff, okay, hit him with a quick slant. Let him work. Let him get the feel of the contact out there, and let him build his confidence as the game goes on. So when the fourth quarter comes around, he's already in dominant form.
Yeah, lots to look forward to whenever you've got two guys like this, Ja'Marr Chase and C.D. Lamb, playing at such a high level and making their way onto the primetime stage here at AT&T Stadium. Another guy who's started to take some steps in the right direction is Rico Dowdle at the running back position. Rico Dowdle, he's been fantastic over the last 3 weeks, taking steps forward, and the Cowboys are 4-0 whenever he has at least 25 carries. So, I think, in my opinion, if you're undefeated doing something, maybe you should continue doing that, Barry Church. How important is getting Rico Dowdle the ball today?
What'd you say, 4-0?
4-0.
You better get him the ball 25 times then. That's all I understand about
it. That's running backs in general. That's just 35 or 25 carries as a whole, not even just Rico specifically.
Well, give that man 25 carries. I mean, he's deserved it. The past 2 games, he's shown the ability to go out there and maximize with his opportunity out there. What you've seen from him is he's been able to have that great vision, been able to pick up yards, get the dirty yards, kind of wear defenses down to where when that fourth quarter comes around, they really don't want anything to do with him. But not only that, is that balanced approach for this offense, something that we've talked about this entire pregame show, and that's helping out Cooper Rush, his ability to use that play action. Not only helping out the offense, but it's keeping the defense on the sideline, because you're able to convert those 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 5s with Rico Dowdle, letting that defense rest on the sidelines, and that's exactly what they're going to have to do tonight against Joe Burrow and his offense, because you want to keep them on the sideline. All right, so have that balanced attack, run it with Rico, Dowdle, and let him do his thing out there.
Have a balanced attack, but don't be balanced in the beginning. Give it to Rico over and over and over again, like Marshawn Lynch once said. The reason why is because the 2 times that he's had 20 touches this year, you won.
Yeah.
The 2 times. You had one time when he had 20 carries, he had 87 yards, and you won against Pittsburgh. Then you gave him the ball 22 times last week, and you had 112 yards, and you won against the Giants. So the moral of the story is, Nate, give the ball to him 20 times, and you're going to be victorious. You just heard the stat line, 25 touches, and then you guys are going to be 4-0. If the Dallas Cowboys can get an established running game, don't keep him on a pitch count. Don't keep him on a pitch count at all. Take the pressure off of Cooper Rush and let the big fellas up front continue to mow guys down.
The thing that I like about Rico Dowdle in the times that they've given that ball 19 times or more is his patience now. How he's running. He's not blowing up in the hole and running into people's backs. He's taking the ball. He's reading. He's going with the flow of the play. And when he sees it, he just explodes up in there. And that is where this kid has gotten better. And he's holding this ball a little bit tighter.
And that's the thing about the run game. It also plays a factor with the Cowboys' defense. If you run the ball, you run the clock. And in running the clock and winning that time of possession battle, that helps the defense in their battle against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase on the Cincinnati offensive side of things. So they ran it 32 times as a team against New York. I expect something close to that. I really do. I think there's an opportunity to run the ball more and more as this game goes on. It helps your defense, helps guys like DeMarvion Overshown take a step in the right direction and continue pinning his ears back. Had a great game, became one of the first guys in almost a decade to have a interception, which he returned for a touchdown, by the way, and a fumble recovery in the same game. He was able to do so against the Giants on Thanksgiving. With DeMarvion Overshown and what he's brought to this defense, how much has that elevated the way you look at Mike Zimmer's unit this year?
Yeah, I want to hit on something real quick that you just touched on, Kyle. The complementary side of defense, right? The reason why the time of possession game is so important in terms of playing keep away offensively is so that your defense has limited snaps on the field, right? You don't want to be out there where a Joe Burrow-led offense has anywhere from 60 to 80 snaps. That's too many plays. That's too many plays that I expect Michael Parsons and DeMarvion Overshown to be effective. If you can limit that down to under 50 plays, all right, 50, 55 plays, now those guys are fresh, right? Of those 55 plays, you might get, 35 passes? So now 35 times you got Demo and you got Michael Parsons that can go out there and get after the quarterback. And then you allow DeMarvion Overshown to do what he does best, and that is fly around with full intensity. If he's too tired, if he's too gassed, because he's been on the field for too long, you're not going to get anything but a shadow of who he is.
Yeah, when you look at Overshown and what he's been able to do this season, it seems like each game he's gotten in there, his confidence has grown and grown and grown. And now he's one of those chess pieces. Before we used to think only Parsons could be one of those chess pieces. How are we going to move him around to get the best out of this defense? Now you have 2 of those pieces. You got to worry about number 11 on the edge or whether he's lined up in the A gap and getting those isolations one-on-one. But you got to also understand where number 13 is at all times, because we saw last week how he's able to affect the game. I mean, you look at his athletic ability, being able to tap the football in the air, intercept it, not only that, cruise into the end zone for a touchdown. That's exactly what this defense has been missing all season long, the ability to take the football away. And now you got 2 players in Parsons and Overshown who have shown that ability to take over games, and his confidence is growing week after week after week.
The second week of the season, remember when there was a little debate of how long he played, when he played. He was a situational linebacker, and a lot of the fans went crazy like this guy is special. You know what? When he first got here, I didn't know how special he was, but this guy is special. Like you say, now he's a chess piece. Now Zim can sit down at night. Not only what I do with Parsons and with these great corners and with this slot corner, what I do with number 13. You know, at number 13, he had a little deal this week on special edition. You know what? Yeah, give me my respect. Yeah, know who I am. Yes, sir. I'm Overshown. I'm overshadowing everything, baby. He coming. Yes.
Overshown, overshadow.
Yeah.
I like it.
I love it, Nate.
Yeah, I thought I had
coming up with
it.
They said it first. They said it first. Trademark it. Make it happen. We got some Cowboys fans sticking around out here on the AT&T East Plaza. Cowboys pregame live. Credit to Stephen Jones and company for finding a guy like DeMarvion Overshown, and he's now joining Nick Eatman down on the sidelines inside the stadium.
All right, thank you, Kyle. And we're here inside AT&T Stadium, even though it still feels outside here. We got Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. First time we've seen the roof open here. Feels a little bit of a breeze. It feels like football here.
It feels like football weather. We are getting a good breeze, more than I would have thought, just since it's just the roof tonight. But it's great to be able to open it, and we're looking forward to a game here. We got two of the best in the business with Burrow and Chase coming in here. So we'll have our work cut out for us.
You know, it's been like a mini bye, if you will, you know, with the Thanksgiving Day game and then the Monday night. Your team certainly needed it with so many injuries. Do you feel like with Trayvon Diggs coming back and just the guys getting healthier, that this is maybe as healthy as you've been in a while?
Well, there's no question. I mean, you know, we hadn't had our starting three corners on the field all year, and when two of them are all pros, Bland and Diggs, you know you're missing something. So, yeah, it feels like we're getting healthier. I think the other thing is, especially on the defensive side, I think our guys are grasping what Mike's trying to get accomplished, Coach Zim. And I just think we're playing better each week. You know, Zim's been in this league a long time. He knows what it takes to win, and look forward to seeing what he's going to serve up for Burrow tonight.
Well, you know, Bill Parcells' favorite line, although he hit many of them, but one of them he'd always say is, "You are what you are." Well, the Bengals are 4-8. Obviously, we see what they have on offense, but they have some things, obviously, on defense or somewhere in their game that you guys can take advantage of. Do you expect that to happen tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, like I said, you get your playmakers back out on the field. We'll have Nealon back. Of course, having Mike out there and Overshown to go with these corners, get a little pressure on him, and maybe he'll be in a generous mood tonight and send us a ball our way or two. But, yeah, we feel like we feel good about what we can do tonight if we go execute, and certainly offensively feel like we can execute on that side of the ball and score some points.
Replacing Zack Martin is almost impossible. He's a future Hall of Famer. Brock Hoffman, though, we talked about earlier, got that fighter's mentality. What do you love about that? It might be that, exactly, but what do you love about when he gets an opportunity, he just takes it?
Well, anytime there's a scuffle out there, you're going to bet he's in it, and that's the way he roll, if you will. And you know, I think it's a mind game with him when he's playing the other guys over there. And you know, he might not be Zack Martin talented, but he's sure going to fight you.
And then one more on your quarterback, Cooper Rush. This is his 5th game to start this year, and he's really starting to come into his own a little bit. He did beat the Bengals a couple years ago in a matchup with Joe Burrow. Do you feel like he's playing exactly what you thought he would be?
That's what you need him to do. He knows how to play this game. He's a great anticipator of where our guys are going to be and what we need to do to move the football. And, of course, we're getting healthier over there, too. Get Ferguson back with Schoonmaker and Span Ford. That's a good group of tight ends over there. And then, of course, I think CD really benefited from the 11 days there. And certainly, you know, when he's rolling, he's hard to stop. So I like our chances. And, of course, we've been running the ball better. I don't want to leave that out. Sure. I mean, Rico's certainly doing a great job running the ball, and we're executing, you know, on that side of the ball as well. So just got to go out there and do this. I mean, the Bengals have had a tough season, but they're a lot better in their record. Yeah. And we'd like to think we're better than ours, too. But as Bill would say, you are what you are.
Well, let's go get 3 in a row. All right, there's Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Kyle, we'll throw it back to you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nick Eatman and Stephen Jones. As we're wrapping things up here on Cowboys Pregame Live, we've got somebody with a little bit of honor to give, and that's the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Every year, the Cowboys submit a nominee. This year, that nominee happened to be Zack Martin.
Oh, no way. No way. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God.
So what's Christmas without some presents?
You got new daddy jerseys? What does it say? 2024?
Mine says here, the picture says of the...
Oh, no way. No way. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. That is sweet. That's pretty cool. You don't even know what that is, do you? Dang, thank you guys.
Just thanks for everything that you do. National Medal of Honor, Salvation Army, first responders, nurses. I mean, you always step up, and it's time for us to recognize you for all that.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Thanks for helping with everything throughout the years.
Congrats, Dad.
Thank you.
We started the show with the bitter news of his ankle surgery, now out for the year. But there's the sweet news in the bittersweet week for Zack Martin, the nominee for the Cowboys and the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Of course, the Cowboys have won it 4 times before, most recently Dak winning in 2022. You had Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman, Jason Witten, who have all won it previously. Zack Martin would be the 5th Man of the Year for the Cowboys if he were to win it this year. So congratulations to Zack for being the nominee. More deserving than you even know what he does on and off the field for this organization. All right, before we wrap things up, we've got a little Call Your Shot here at Cowboys Pregame Live. Every week we make our bold predictions. Look at this. I can't believe that we are all at 0, and then we've got Nate Newton up there just setting the pace. I can't believe it. You know what? Because of that, we're going to go with Nate Newton first. Nate, what's your bold prediction this week?
Cowboys got to score at least 4 touchdowns to be able to win this game. At least 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I asked you, was it a good one?
Are you betting 5?
I'm betting 1.
See this?
Yeah, he needs to go all 5. Got to get all the way up there. He can win this thing if he does it that way.
Don't get mad at me, man.
Listen up. The last time the Dallas Cowboys played the Bengals, they had 6 sacks. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to get at least 3 sacks in this game.
You said 4 earlier.
No, I said 3.
It's 4. You said 4.
See what they said?
It's on the text message.
It's very certain.
I have it in writing. Don't take it down. What's it for you?
Well, we talked about balance this entire show and how we need to figure out how to feed Rico Dowdle out there. So I'm saying Rico goes back-to-back 100-yard games. This will be his second 100-yard game, and get the ball to the man.
And I'm going to say that Cooper Rush throws 3 touchdowns tonight. The Cowboys and the Bengals, Monday Night Football. It's going to be a fun one from AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Shout out to all the Cowboys fans who stuck around and wrapped things up here through our hour-long lead-in. We've got prime time football in Arlington. Osa Odigizua getting everybody fired up. Cowboys-Bengals will join you after the game for First Word and for Game Night. Thanks for joining us on Cowboys Pregame Live.